Oh, hello there, Site-42 staff, as well as those of you from the greater SCP Foundation community. And welcome to another Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, St. Patrick's Day edition. St. Patrick's Day opinion. Yes, I have opinions about St. Patrick's Day, but we'll have to wait for those. St. Patrick's Day edition of the Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, or at least today, the Guinness break. Ooh, I haven't had that in a while, and it's so good. I need to get more Guinness in my diet. But either way, had to get in an all-out brawl to get some extra stout from the Commissary. Obviously, as you can tell, things are a little hectic at site today, but we will survive. So, as I was saying, welcome to another Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, a subsidiary of the anomalous broadcast from Site-42. As always, I am Dr. Theron Sherman, Site Director here at Site-42 of the SCP Foundation. And as I have done for the last 11 months and counting, because the daily streak must remain strong, I am here to open my office doors to you, the SCP Foundation staff, to answer your burning questions about this dark and mysterious place of employment we call the SCP Foundation. So whether you have questions about the anomalies we contain, the staff who contain them, the groups of interest who try to stop us from containing them, or hypothetical containment procedures about anomalies who fall outside of the SCP Foundation's purview, perhaps they're from a different multiverse or pataphysical narrative level, i.e. fandom. Either way, we are here for the next 90 minutes, and the coffee break might go beyond that if we're feeling zesty and festive. Festy and zestive. Fizzestive. But before I begin the standard Q&A, let me start with a little bit of housekeeping. Legendary Doge Official. Congratulations on being the #1 most punctual member of today's Containment Hazard Assessment team, i.e., congratulations on being first chatter. Meanwhile, alongside you, Legendary Doge Official, we have Amber, Chester Factory, Dr. Frogman, Froy, Blue Phantom, Terragal, Black Phoenix, Affleck, Lone Claw. Everybody who I have just named, thank you for being here punctually, and thank you for being members of Site-42 on YouTube. We appreciate your membership and your service. Furthermore, Intern Mata, Intern Hernandez, Intern Townley, Intern Neo Metal Overlord, Intern MTF Delta Wolfpack, everyone who I have just named, thank you for being here punctually, and thank you for being here today, just for being you. Now, today's stream subject, quite simple, quite short, nothing too much to worry about. Today is the holiday known as St. Patrick's Day. Now, as a heathen American, I only have a tertiary experience with this holiday of my long, long back in the past bloodline. But the little bit of Irish in me appreciates, at very least, the Irish's ability to get back up from being kicked in the fucking teeth again and again and again. And how that might relate to being the underdog in a fight against a technologically advanced and larger empire intent on crushing you. Whether that has to do with historical precedents of Irish liberation, more modern bouts in the Middle East, or of course, considering our place as the SCP Foundation as a technologically advanced, quasi-fascist organization, who we do pledge loyalty to because we secure, contain, and protect, but perhaps the authors on a pataphysical narrative level above us might remember that the Foundation is not always the good guys. Interesting how the artistic allegory exists. Interesting how one might say that, while not intended, all art might be political in some way or another. I wonder. But anyways, outside of the pataphysical narrative level above us that we're all totally considering outside of stream for sure, but not here, not in this stream where we don't talk about that, not at all. What about the SCP Foundation's relationship with St. Patrick's Day? What about the SCP Foundation's relationship with Irish culture? What, pray tell, might our relationship be there? Well, I've got a couple SCP Foundation stories to illuminate to you. But before I do, since Black Phoenix sent one, thank you, Black Phoenix, for the Lucky Clover. It is very in the spirit of the day, and I'm sure the Containment Hazard Assessment team is feeling quite lucky because of it. First, on our list of St. Patrick's Day related SCPs, the French branch of the SCP Foundation has literally codified St. Patrick's Day as an SCP. SCP-017-FR-J, codename St. Patrick's Day. Threat level, Guinness. Oh, you rapscallions. But yes, in the documentation of the French branch of the SCP Foundation, St. Patrick's Day, otherwise known as SCP-017-FR-J, is an EK-class end-of-the-world situation event, footnote, incident in which the population is exposed to an alcoholic SCP and would force the Foundation to unmask itself to the public by drinking Guinness. Appearing annually on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of March. This phenomenon is particularly pronounced in Ireland, localized to Dublin, and in the Anglo-Saxon countries of origin of redheads, Irish. The various researchers of the Foundation still cannot explain this phenomenon. The most plausible hypothesis is that SCP-017-FR-J would be a mimetic effect of unknown origin. The anomaly only affects humans. Affected humans, hereinafter referred to as subjects, will begin by dressing as green as possible, in a generally goofy manner, before consuming alcohol in large quantities, preferably Irish brands. I reach for my Guinness without looking, and I put my hand in my Guinness. Well, at least it's not a fly. Then I'd have to make the fly cough it up. You all know the joke. And moving without an apparent destination in the streets while singing in an unknown language, a bastardized form of the subject's native language. The purpose of this practice, described as ritual by some researchers, is unknown. The terminal phase of SCP-017-FR-J is characterized by loss of sense of direction, vomiting, headache, and a secondary mimetic effect known by the codename of hangover. There's some other documentation here, but at this point, I think you get the point. And so, yes, SCP-017-FR-J, the day known as St. Patrick's Day, is an SCP. If you didn't know, now you know. Furthermore, while not St. Patrick's Day related, there is an important Irish lore mythology anomaly I have to bring to your attention. SCP-4147 is codename Encyclopedia Obscura. SCP-4147 is a series of encyclopedias divided into several volumes each. The number of volumes per instance varies. Each instance was published in 1912 by Puffin Publishing. Volumes are hardcover, having non-anomalous ink and paper, and have red covers with gold text displaying a title. All titles translates to National Mythos Encyclopedia. Each instance of SCP-4147 covers a different language and includes descriptions of numerous mythical creatures and legends unique to the nation whose official language corresponds to the text of the instance. All entries are alphabetized. There are currently 4 instances of SCP-4147 held by the Foundation. No other instances are confirmed to exist. -1 is the English edition. -2 is the Gaelic edition. Version 3 is the Russian edition. And version 4 is the Japanese edition. Each edition, the last page is blank. If an entry following the approved format is written into the document of this encyclopedia, related superstitions in native speakers of the corresponding language will take root, and the entry will become integrated into the culture of corresponding nationalities. When an instance is closed, the new entry page will be moved into an alphabetized position, and a new last page will be created. Now, this anomaly is object class safe, but suffice it to say, it's important to remind Foundation staff that object class safe does not mean the anomaly is safe in the colloquial sense. It means that the object is very easily contained. Yes, we can put these encyclopedias in a standard item locker and they stay contained. But these mythological encyclopedias hold the ability to rewrite retroactively the entire mythology of a culture, as shown when we ran an experiment where a doctor of Irish descent wrote in this last page of the Gaelic edition, description: Leprechaun, the shoemaker. Leprechauns are fairies known across the world as symbols of Ireland, mischief, and luck. In the modern day, they are almost always seen in their iconic apparel and are popular presences in Irish fairy tales and holidays. Popular legends have leprechauns mending shoes and protecting their pots of gold hidden at the end of the rainbows, with human beings trying to capture them or steal their hidden gold. Leprechauns have become one of the most recognizable and integral myths of Ireland and Irish culture. Specific regions. Leprechauns have no specific native region besides Ireland, featured in these tales: The Leprechaun or Fairy Shoemaker by William Allingham. We then interviewed the researcher who wrote that entry, and they claimed that they had been hearing about the myth of leprechauns their entire life. When we showed them videotapes of them saying, "I am making up leprechauns right now, and in 5 minutes I'm going to write this entry," they started having a major panic attack. Suffice it to say, this is a rather powerful anomaly because it can rewrite an entire culture in as quick as you can write on a piece of paper. This is finally illustrated in the final addendum, where, if you read the addendum on desktop, maybe it doesn't show up on mobile. I didn't notice this on mobile. But part of this story, quote, in a -1 entry, was written in a different ink than the other entries within the instance. Now I'm going to read the entry, but I'm going to tell you when the ink changes biological make or chemical makeup. From SCP-4147-1, Santa Claus, otherwise known as Jolly Saint Nick. Description: one of the most recognizable examples of mythology, Santa Claus traces his roots back to St. Nicholas in the 3rd century. Santa Claus has come a long way since then, spreading through Dutch culture to America through Dutch immigrants in New York, and then the world. The worldo, as some would say. Although myths inspired by St. Nick have appeared in many places besides America, and the United States only featuring a sort of adaptation of the Dutch legend, this American adaptation has become by far the most popular in the US and across the world. Today, Santa Claus is a symbol of gift-giving on Christmas Day across the globe, and it is custom for many parents to let their children believe he is real. At this point, the ink changes chemical makeup. Let's see what it says. The modern-day Santa Claus is almost always seen in his stylish red and white, but only started being presented this way thanks to the good people at the Coca-Cola Corporation. Santa premiered his iconic outfit drinking refreshing Coca-Cola products, and he is still as widely loved as Coca-Cola products to this day. The Coca-Cola marketing team got a hold of the anomaly. They're fucking with the mythology for capitalism purposes. That's why the anomaly is safe, but definitely not safe. You get me, right? So, the SCP Foundation invented leprechauns. I hope you are not too disappointed. Before Coke, Santa was skinny and wore blue, by the way. I did not know that Santa wore blue, although the ice and white and blue themology does make sense. I am still shocked to hear that Santa was blue. Dabba-dee, dabba-die. Yes, if I got a hold of it, several new myths would emerge. That's why, Intern Solar, you are not allowed near the anomaly. We do not need more myths and things running around, causing problems. We do not need you changing and molding the minds of entire cultures at your whims. So, third and finally, in our St. Patrick's Day celebrating, before we move on to the general Q&A, allow me to introduce to you one more member of the SCP Foundation Irish cadre of stories, at which point I will get to the donations that have come in during the stream and then move to the general Q&A. So don't worry, I've seen your donations, I'm just finishing the stream subject first. SCP-7500, codename Luck of the Irish, is really just a very nice man. A very nice man who is anomalously lucky. Apparently, the actual situation here is that the anomaly, known by its name, Donovan Hanlon, an Australian male of Irish heritage with the ability to subconsciously manipulate probability. Whenever SCP-7500 was in a situation with multiple possible outcomes, the outcome that SCP-7500 would deem to be the best option always occurred. Due to this effect, SCP-7500's health did not degrade during its time in Foundation custody. So we kept it in containment for a very long time because its luck kept it healthy. The plaid vest that 7500 wore at all times had a 4-leaf clover pinned to it. This is suspected to be the source of its powers, though it shows no anomalous properties when utilized by anyone other than SCP-7500. During its containment, SCP-7500 refused all requests to remove the jacket. And so, essentially speaking, SCP-7500, due to its vest and 4-leaf clover combo, was anomalously lucky for its lifespan before it voluntarily gave up its anomaly so that we would decommission it so it could go be with its husband. I mean, when it decommissioned itself by removing its anomaly, that did mean that we had no more reason to hold the human being in containment. And since not only was Donovan very old and about to pass by the time we released it from custody, him after removing the anomaly, him, and due to his cooperation with Foundation staff over the years, we did allow this one time for the anomaly to do as he wished. Sorry, I have something in my eye. So, with all that said, Site-42 staff, I am returning to the stream chat. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive, our shallow to moderately moderate dive into the SCP Foundation's lore in regards to Irish culture on this St. Paddy's Day. Now, I'm going to leave you with Dr. Chair for one moment, and when I return, I will hit the donations, and we will start the general Q&A until stream ends. So, Dr. Chair, keep them entertained. Dr. Chair, did they behave themselves? That's good to hear. All right, let me run to the donations, get those out of the way, and the general Q&A will begin. So I saw a Ko-Fi notification. I'll start there so I don't forget it exists. Aflac, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member and thank you for making the effort to go through the Ko-Fi. As is well known, the Ko-Fi only takes 3% of your donation versus YouTube Super Chats taking 30%. So especially for larger donations, we appreciate it when you go through the Ko-Fi. Much obliged. Grab yourself a corned beef and cabbage on your way past the commissary. Dr. Sherman, we need to interrogate Dr. Cairns and Dr. Shaw, as Dr. Gerald was, in his own words, given the joyous pleasure to drive a tank through Site 72. Site Director Roberts is going to be so upset. Yes, you are correct. If Dr. Gerald was allowed a tank, then we need to harm Drs. Cairns and Shaw. It feels like Dr. Gerald getting vehicles is becoming more and more common. I know, Dr. Frogman. Why are people getting seemingly dumber to do something that we all know is a terrible idea? Black Phoenix, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. I think you're a member, so thank you for that. And thank you for making the effort to go through the Ko-Fi. Greetings, Dr. Sherman, and fellow staff members, and those with Irish ancestry. I hope everyone has a great St. Patrick's Day. Remember to drink responsibly. Dr. Sherman, you should look up splitting the G, an Irish tradition when drinking Guinness, in a Guinness class. You've got me interested. I am unfamiliar with this term. Splitting the G is a popular virus Guinness drinking challenge where you take one large initial sip of a fresh pint to land the beer's foam line precisely in the middle of the G on the branded glass. It has become a viral TikTok, Instagram trend, often used to display skill and enjoy a perfect first sip. Huh. Well, while I have not heard of that, I do like the idea of it. Unfortunately, my glass is far beyond the first sip, but in the future, I will think about that and consider giving it a try. This, in fact, is a, I don't know if you can see it if I tilt it just the right way. This is a Cheers glass from the original Cheers bar in Boston, Massachusetts of the United States. It was a very fun trip to go to the place where everybody knows your name. Thank you for the intel, Black Phoenix. Double check there's no notifications there. Perfect. Turning to the chat. Giffy, thank you for sending 2 lucky clovers to today's containment hazard assessment team. I'm sure in the spirit of the holiday, they will be exceptionally lucky thanks to your urging. Martatron, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself some bangers and mash on your way past the commissary. Hey, Dr. Sherm, how are you? I'm doing quite well. It is awful warm in the state of California. We are having a heat wave today. To contrast, what I'm hearing are some cold fronts and storms on the east coast of the United States. Woo, we are sweating over here. But we're doing our best to beat the heat, especially with an ice cold Guinness. Are you an 05? Intern Balderas. Not in this universe, at least. I am a level 4 researcher and site director. Now, I have heard tell through the SCP Foundation there is no canon verse that there might be an overseer, Dr. Sherman, but if there is, I have not met that one. Everyone else in the chat like, oh my god, yeah, it's cold out here. It's cold out here. Yeesh. Understandable. Yes, here in California, it is 90 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny. Which, 90 degrees in Florida, where I'm brought up, where there's humidity, is very different than 90 degrees in California, where it's dry. It is a wildly different situation. If Director Moose and Actus can become O5s, you can too. As I said, I heard it happened. I haven't met that one. I heard they might be O513. But I've never encountered that iteration of me. Interns Strange and Researcher 100 stars. Thank you for sending lucky clovers to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm certain that on this holiday of all days, and with your urging, the luck will continue to grow. Resident Gamer, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a pint on your way past the commissary. SCP-4666 has escaped and is roaming around. Resident Gamer, I don't know where you got your information, but you are severely off base. SCP-4666, known as the Yule Man, only has an active phase for the Weissnacht events during the end of December into early January. Here, halfway through March, SCP-4666 is forcing child slaves to toil in the caves to make toys out of children's body parts. Really wish we can catch and stop that thing. Oh well. Intern Dead Calzone. Oh my god, I am so excited for your first donation to today's stream. And for the first time I've recognized your name, Intern Dead Calzone. I hope that you are well within the low-cal calzone zone. Grab yourself a low-cal calzone on your way past the low-cal calzone zone. What would happen if the entity from Dead by Daylight chose SCP-049 as a killer? Well, Dead by Daylight would be very upset because they refuse to use SCP entities due to the Creative Commons, sadly. Even though I don't think using an SCP entity would make their whole game Creative Commons, all they would have to do is enter an agreement with licensing staff. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legal ease here, but I'm certain that SCP Foundation staff could create an agreement where Dead by Daylight could use 049. The only stipulation is that the mods, the avatar of 049 created by Dead by Daylight, the animations would have to be released Creative Commons. But I don't think that would apply to the end of the game. The rest of the game, I mean. I don't, because, I would want to know how they licensed other movie monsters. Because, suffice it to say, I don't think it's as scary as they said. Because Dead by Daylight tweeted that they wouldn't mess with us because of SCP's Creative Commons. At least, I feel like I remember that happening. Obviously, you can't quote me. I'm remembering something that happened a while ago. I want to ask licensing what it would take for Dead by Daylight to use an SCP entity. Then I want to contact Dead by Daylight because I'm a large SCP content creator. I can act as a point of contact. And tell them, hey, it's okay to use SCP, just follow the guidelines. And I'm almost certain it could work. I'm interested, I'm questioning. I want to know more. And Dead Calzone, thank you for donating again to elaborate. No, I mean, what would happen to SCP-049 lore-wise? Well, suffice it to say, SCP-049's original document on the wiki wouldn't change at all. 049's document is its main lore. And then all the tales on the wiki that involve 049, none of them would have to change. But you would essentially have a new fan fiction canon for 049 and Dead by Daylight. I've never played Dead by Daylight. I do not know how they handle the lore of how their killers end up in the game due to the entity's influence. I have a fellow researcher who is working on this for me because they are a huge Dead by Daylight nut. But I do not know the information myself. No, I think this should be possible. I want to facilitate it. I think it'd be very cool. Honestly, the best SCP for Dead by Daylight would be the Plague Doctor. Well, especially, yes, Intern Dragon Man. I think you're correct. Because, well, here's the problem. 173 and 096 you can't use because they have very strict movement mechanics. Look at it and it can't move. Don't look at it or it'll get you. Now, maybe there's a way to work with that. I mean, SCP Secret Lab does it. But I don't know if it would work with the gameplay loop of Dead by Daylight. 049, at least you can just move of your own volition. But pulling out zombies? Does any other killer have zombies? An instant death touch? That is a pretty OP power for a killer. They get a hand on you and you die. So I think there are other SCPs that it could be. But the problem is the iconic nature of 049, 173, and 096. 106. 106, the old man, would be the best Dead by Daylight killer. 106 can go through walls, but not instantly. It has to melt into a wall and melt out of a wall, so it takes time. And so you can shut a door on 096, but it will get through if you have nowhere to go. Yeah, if I were to pick a killer for Dead by Daylight, I would go with 106. Minty Andrea, Abel would be good as a combatant. I agree, 100%. But I think Abel is too much of a fighter and not enough of a horror entity. 106 is a creepy-ass bitch. Reminder, one of my short film ideas for Site42 to make a short film of would be SCP-106 as done in the style of Alien, where it's a couple of people in a locked-off place with 106 descending from the ceiling and fucking with people. Dead Calzone, thank you for this very interesting line of thought. I just might contact licensing staff to ask this question and then see if Dead by Daylight will talk to me. You know, 1 million YouTube followers, maybe they'll talk to me. Maybe? I don't know. As I said, I'm not in the Dead by Daylight community. But my friend who is might be able to give me some insight. You've all got my interest now. Oh, you've got my interest. Okay, let me get back to the donations so I can get caught up. Farm Shop Chronicles, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member. Grab yourself a shot of the Irish branded libation of your choice on your way past the commissary. Dear Director Sherman, the title has piqued our interest and we'll be watching closely. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Signed, Internal Investigations. I hope you enjoyed the deep dive into SCP Foundation lore regarding St. Patrick's Day and other Irish folklore, including us inventing leprechauns for some reason. Intern Dapper, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself a Malamar on your way past the commissary. What about 035 for Dead by Daylight? So here's the thing. 035, scary, yes. Can move on its own whim and so won't be limited by being seen. Good. But 035 just has acid flowy from the masky. It would, I guess some of the killers like Ghostface are just dudes in masks. So another dude in a mask wouldn't be amiss. I guess it could find a knife and kill you. It could use acid touch like 106 does, which could act as a poison damage. I don't know if Dead by Daylight has a poison damage, but both 106 and 035 could give you acid touch as a damage. Not as good as 106, but still doable. Still doable, because they do use human killers. And 035 is just an elevated human. Resident Gamer, thank you for donating again to say, good luck with the second mimetic effect and SCP-017. You're saying second mimetic effect in relation to 017. And my question for you is, what do you mean? Because 017 is the shadow person, right? And so there's no mimetic effect with the shadow person. It's just, if it gets you, it eats you. It is a shadow that eats you. Oh, unless you mean 017-FR-J, which is a much longer title. But yes, I will... Yes, that's probably what you meant basing on the Guinness and St. Patrick's Day. So yes, I will be cautious with that mimetic effect. What about Alexei Belitrov? I forgot its designation. Alexei Belitrov as a killer in Dead by Daylight, I guess you mean? I mean, the first thing I would do is Alexei Belitrov is mostly seen as a positive influence. I mean, when I Google Alexei Belitrov, SCP-2273 is on the Heroes Wiki. So, also, as Desk says, Alexei is not popular enough for a Dead by Daylight skin. Yeah, not enough people bring up Major Alexei Belitrov when talking about iconic SCPs, unfortunately. Terragal, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member. Grab yourself a green beer on your way past the commissary. 049 just cured my friend, and now he's a zombie. Well, that is what happens when 049 cures you, so I'm sorry for your loss. Intern Hicks, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a cruller on your way past the commissary. Been watching a lot of Outlast recently. Do you think the Foundation would be able to contain the Wall Rider? Also good to be here. Well, good to have you here, Intern Hicks, on this most auspicious holiday. The last holiday before Site42 hits its 1-year streaming anniversary. No, I take that back. The last holiday before we hit... the last major holiday celebrated in America before we hit a year is April Fool's Day. That's horrifying. April Fool's Day at the Foundation. Be afraid. It's coming soon. But as you were saying, something about a wall rider from Outlast. The Wall Rider, also known as the Swarm, is the primary antagonist of Outlast and the main antagonist in Outlast Whistleblower. It is the source of the madness that seems to infect most of the asylum's inhabitants, and the deity of Father Martin's religion and or followers. So it is a ghostly entity, a swarm of nanites. Okay. A swarm of nanites. So, we would have to use some sort of EMP and Faraday cage combination to keep the entity's signal and abilities contained, clearly. Unfortunately, for the protagonists of Outlast, they probably do not have access to major EMPs. But that would be my first way to handle it. Characteristics. The entity cannot pass through decontamination gates. So if we have the technology of the decontamination gates, we can easily contain the Wall Rider. Intern Austin, welcome to Site 42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. I really do not like the amount that Desk is posting right now about having plans for April 1st. Y'all don't think I have something planned for April 1st? If you thought the Bible was funny, you should be here on April 1st. I swear to every Jesus we contain, you better watch yourself, you mahogany bitch. Dead Calzone, thank you for donating again to add. Keep in mind the entity can alter killers' abilities like it did with Freddy Krueger. Well, we'll definitely have to keep that in mind. I'm unfamiliar, again, with the game in general, so I don't know what it did to Freddy Krueger. But, I mean, yes, obviously, from a higher pataphysical narrative level than ours, that is just a way to codify the character into better game mechanics, I assume. Which we could obviously utilize if an agreement can be reached between SCP Foundation staff and Dead by Daylight devs. Okay, Dr. Sherman's taking a side quest. Dead by Daylight SCP. When did they say it? SCP is never coming to Dead by Daylight. SCP won't happen because it's not known by anyone. So, that's not true. It is owned by someone. How do I... It came from an AMA. Show me where the AMA is. Tell me where they said this. Tell me! If someone happens to find the AMA where the devs said we will not collaborate with the SCP Foundation because they aren't owned by anybody, please email it to my business email. I would like to know where that post is. And I'm not going to take time in stream when I should be talking to y'all to do a deep dive of it. But if someone finds it, let me know in the email. Because, yes, SCP has owners. We have license controllers. We are not... What's the phrase I'm looking for? Everyone says we are public domain. SCP is not public domain. That is a legal status, meaning anyone can use it anytime. SCP is Creative Commons. It means there is an owner and it is controlled through licensing. It's not a hard... The copyright is still owned. Creative Commons allows people to use it. We can fix this. We can fix this. We can get SCP in Dead by Daylight. They just got to talk to me. I'll get them in the door. We'll talk to the wiki. We'll work it out. I see it as my duty as the SCP Corporation Liaison. A self-titled title that I titled myself. Terragal. I do not... SCP-953 in Dead by Daylight. Obviously, I think 953 falls in the same problem as Abel. 953 is just not scary. It's just aggressive and violent. It is a creature, sure. And yes, game mechanic-wise, it would work, clearly. In fact, because it is codename polymorphic humanoid. It could have multiple forms. And so you would do like a morph or a Shang Tsao situation where 953 could ape multiple anomalies. In fact, oh no, now I'm cooking. 953 is how you can get SCP-173, SCP-096, and a bunch of anomalies that wouldn't be good on their own in the game. Because 953 can switch between different SCPs. Polymorphic humanoid, polymorph, take their powers. The entity can give them the power to use the powers. And so now you can do look at me or I'll kill you for 173. You can do don't look at me or I'll kill you 096. But you can switch from person to person depending on the scenario. Okay. Cooking rant complete. I like where your head's at. Intern Morgan, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a croissant on your way past the commissary. Dr. Sherman, what if we put SCP-999 in SCP-729? Dusty! We have run that test. SCP-999 had the good sense to completely vaporize itself, teleport to a new area, and reapparate. We didn't know it could do that. And reminder, in the universe where we put SCP-999 in an industrial blender in order to harvest it for 999 juice to improve morale for Foundation staff who drink it, SCP-999 does not vaporize itself and teleport for that. But it does vaporize and teleport itself for that thing. So you know what? Maybe it's canon. SCP-999 does like the blender. Okay? Nines actually feels tickled by it and enjoys it. Fine. That's how you want canon to be. That's what you get for asking questions like this. SCP-999. What is it? Calls for the mines, longs for the mines. The children yearn for the mines. SCP-999 yearns for the blender. SCP-999 yearns for the blender. That's the canon that you've created here at Site-42. You're welcome! What a fucking world. Farm Shop Chronicles, thank you for donating again to say. Dear Director Sherman, our agents are partaking in today's rituals. Please take all letters with a grain of salt. Wishing you well. Aye, aye. Aye, aye. Yes, I must understand that some messages today are going to come from inebriated staff members. I need to take that into account. Martatron, thank you for donating again to say 999 yearns for the blender. Honestly, that's a great meme phrase. We can propagate that on social media. Sharing that thing's article and Asset Florida Orange to prove that 999 yearns for the blender. Chester Factory, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself some poutine on your way past the commissary. Started reading through the Anti-Memetic Division series and have decided to try drawing Alistair Gray for this Friday. Hell of a first day. Ooh! When I watched Andrea Joshua Asnikar's version of There Is No Anti-Memetics Division, oh, that handsome Alistair Gray. Ooh, that man. Anomaly. Not man, anomaly. Ooh, it could. Hell of a first day for real. Resident Gamer, thank you for donating again to say about the rumors of SCP-3001 slowly encasing Site-42. I have heard no rumors. We have not been sucked into the space between dimensions. If anything, that's Site-107 that has been sucked into the spot between dimensions. Listen to Find Us Alive podcast on YouTube or other podcast platforms by friend of the channel and your favorite SCP YouTuber's favorite SCP YouTuber, Radiger. Rebel Commander, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself a fruit salad yummy yummy on your way past the commissary. Is there an SCP at the bottom, SCP site at the bottom of the ocean? I do not remember an aquatic site off the top of my head, but I'm not uncertain we have one. SCP aquatic site. Pardon. Gesundheit. Do you know why Dr. Blue hasn't posted for like 1 to 2 years? Intern Jack, it's because, like all creatives, Dr. Blue's author at a higher pataphysical level has found a new hyperfixation. And that hyperfixation is being a dinosaur VTuber. So Starblowy Blue has posted, but is now posting as a dinosaur rather than a SCP researcher. Still a cool chap. So first of all, if I go looking for anomalies in the ocean, the first thing I would look for is obviously one of the most famous SCP tales, which is document recovered from the Marianas Trench. That is an old school SCP tale from 2010 by Dr. Gears. Note that SCP started in 2007, so that was 3 years into the project, Dr. Gears being one of the original SCP authors. This tale is at a positive 1,830 rating. So, obviously, if I talk about deep ocean, then you got to start there. But if I approach oceanic SCPs outside of that, it looks like SCP-5483 refers to an area located at the edge of the Alquist Trench, monitored by SCP Aquatic Monitoring Facility Alpha. So the question is SCP Aquatic Monitoring Facility Alpha underwater, or is it above water? 5483 contains the underwater Site 78, used for cataloging remarkable phenomena near and around the Alquist Trench. So at the very least, 5483 has an underwater site. You would look for SCP Aquatic Site on the database if you're looking for things along that. A reminder. Yeah, this says Underwater Site 78. So you might look for Underwater Site in your search as well. Will you do any more SCP compilations? Dr. Jack, the answer is yes. We moved about a year or so ago, and then we had a bunch of trouble with that. And we started daily streams in the meantime, and daily streams have been the way the site has been going for a while. But video production, we are still building our studio and getting ourselves ready for an upgraded studio setup. So do not fret, videos are on the way. Intern Catherine Snell, thank you for sending a lucky clover to today's containment hazard assessment team. I am certain that the luck will continue thanks to your generosity. I'm skipping ahead in the chat just because I saw this and I can answer it very easily. Farm Shop Chronicles, thank you for donating again and saying, Dear Director Sherman, thoughts on shepherd's pie? Thanks, your friends at II. Shepherd's pie is bomb as fuck. Oh my god. Oh my god. There was this English pub. I know, it's St. Patrick's Day, Irish versus the English. Woof. But, ooh, when they still existed, their shepherd's pie, oh my gosh. A good shepherd's pie, that is a delightful meal. You can take that to the bank. Yeoman's Pub Tampa, shepherd's pie. I think they still exist, they just move locations. If you're in Tampa, Yeoman's Pub, shepherd's pie, if they still make it. Woo! Chris the Direwolf Boy, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member. Grab yourself a shepherd's pie on your way past the commissary. I have a new anomaly. A turkey that thinks it's a left turn at Albuquerque, and is somehow turkey, duck, and lamb, with stuffing that thinks it's bread pudding, a good time, or yes. So what you're dealing with there is you are dealing with a toon entity, a la Bugs Bunny, that is being perceived by hungry people. And the hungry people are seeing it as whatever food they want. Now, this is similar to how SCP-5031, yet another murder monster, disappears when perceived. So it's possible that if you are not hungry, you would perceive this anomaly in its own phase. But since everyone is at least a little hungry at all times, it might be very hard to get someone who is full enough to then immediately go test while they are not hungry to see the anomaly's true form. But that's my recommendation for testing. Florida, was there a McGuire's near you? Let me double check. I feel like I've heard the name. Destin, Florida. McGuire's Irish Pub. No, I'm definitely familiar with McGuire's. So I'm sure that there at least was one at one time when I was present. I just don't recall. I used to go to a lot of places. I never like to be in one place. I like to jump around. Jump, jump, jump around. Morgan's World, thank you for donating again to say, Dr. Sherman, I put SCP-999 in SCP-20's chamber just now. I'm a little worried about that. I don't know what SCP-20 is off the top of my head, and I don't like the idea that you're running unauthorized tests on SCP-999. I especially don't like, since that is apparently a mold anomaly. If you have truly done that, you will face some very harsh complications and consequences. Because SCP-999 having mold stuck in it, while the mold may not grow, it's very hard to get the mold out. And I will punish you for that. Resident Gamer, thank you for donating again to say, I saw one of the doctors reading the Necronomicon in Site 42. That's not shocking. We've been studying that book for a while. As long as they don't read it out loud, it's fine. You can see that the job has worn him down in his eyes. Intern Ob, have you seen what these staff members are telling me? You be the site director of a site of these miscreants and malcontents. And then you tell me how fast the light in your eyes leaves. Alex the Shark, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a bowl of tortellini on your way past the commissary. If SCPs could be in Dead by Daylight, who would you pick? So if I had my pick of anomalies to put in Dead by Daylight, and it wasn't due to popularity, it was just I had full choice. Hog Slice. Hog Slice has the right amount of aggression, will show up out of nowhere and punch you. Hog Slice. SCP, I believe 6500 is Hog Slice. Hog Slice. Not 6500. Where is Hog Slice? Give me Hog Slice. 6599. Obviously, the best SCP to be in Dead by Daylight. Hog Slice! Clearly would just show up and hit people with no provocation. Exactly what we need. I must find the perfect spoon. Well, intern Salad Fingers, as long as you are not doing what is verboten in the SCP Foundation rules, which is putting spoons in your butt, a la SCP-7052. I do not believe that it would be beneficial to you once you found that perfect spoon to put that perfect spoon in your butt. It would be bad and not good for you. And now I have to talk about SCP-7052 again because Minty Andrea is like, huh? And Norpy is like, what did I just walk in on? SCP-7052 is an anomaly that occurs when any person on Earth puts any spoon on Earth into their rectum. The more spoons, the more power you attain. You put 12 spoons in your butt, all of a sudden, you're a reality bender with omnipotence and powers. Don't do it! I don't care if they're rusty spoons, salad fingers. A spoon's a spoon when it comes to butt spoons. And you know the rule of the Foundation. Just say no to butt spoons. I could have been on Dancing with the Stars. I could have followed that career path to its apex. I could have been on TV. I could have danced with celebrities. And here I am, telling you to not put spoons in your butt. Where did my life go wrong? Or, right? Right. I mean, someone's gotta tell you not to put spoons in your butt, so I guess someone had to do it. That might as well be me. Anyway. Martatron, thank you for donating again to say, I'm going now, work 13 hours today, see ya. Woof, I hope you rest well, and yeah, that's a long work day. Cristadar Wolfboy, thank you for donating again to say, it was made by the delirium of the endless. And the it is the turkey. So yes, I assume that something shape-shifting like that would be caused by some sort of mental disorder of the outsiders. It doesn't change what we have to do to it, which is get someone who is not hungry to look at it and communicate with it properly. First Class 26 and Cristadar Wolfboy, thank you for sending lucky clovers to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am certain that the luck of the chat will continue to go up thanks to your generosity. So, Ko-Fi donation, let me get that before I forget. Lani the Demon Angel, thank you for donating again to say, or no. Thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as making the effort to donate through the Ko-Fi. Grab yourself a fish and chips on your way past the commissary. SCP-953 could also disguise as other survivors and cause confusion. It is known for that. You are correct, that would be an excellent ability of 953 besides turning into other monsters. Also, SCP-2427-3 would be a good entity for Dead by Daylight. It's not popular, but looks horrifying enough to be a unique one. 2427-3, you say? Well, that means I have to go to 2427. If I can ever learn how to type. Codename A Thing Full of Stuff? Going for a thing full of stuff, you say? Lonnie the Demon Angel? The -3 is a reinforced steel door has been installed. It's a hostile biomechanical construct built from electronic circuitry, the digestive tract of a cow, one hairless head of a human male, a hat rack, several links of ordinary garden hose, and a crystalline structure of unknown composition. It is carnivorous and exhibits extraordinary physical strength and speed. Okay, yeah, that could very well be a good murder monster. A weird murder monster, but a very good murder monster. So, hell yeah. Good choosing there. Real quick, jumping down the list, Farm Shop Chronicles. Thank you for your extremely generous donation to today's stream. On top of your previous commissary treats, I want you to go into my office mini fridge. I have procured from Marshall Carter and Dark. Do not tell anyone. I have procured yet another bottle of SCP-3303, codename Champagne Supernova. This bottle of champagne allows you and whoever else is drinking it with you to create a time bubble around your party that makes your time bubble last much, much longer. So even though a party might only go on for one night to us on the outside, your party could go on for 40 years, depending on if you had enough of the time bubble champagne. So, for you, thank you for your extremely generous donation. Please make this the St. Patrick's Day of your dreams in return for your intense generosity to the Site-42 cause. I thank you for your generosity to helping myself, the Site-42 staff keep the lights on, and to keeping our journey of getting bigger and better SCP films and games made. Now, before I answer your question, let me just remind you, due to your intense generosity, and due to you reminding me why we do what we do, I want to let you know, guys, I was going to wait a little longer, but thanks to Farm Shop Chronicles, I'm going to tell you early. We have another live-action SCP film coming. Another live-action SCP short film. I am currently looking for the email to tell you guys where to look for it. I am pulling up the YouTube channel now. No, Frogman, it is not Andrea. This is a completely different team that just reached out to me this week. Because they are releasing on the 20th, I was going to wait a couple more days to tell you guys. But since Farm Shop Chronicles just gave me that hit of, oh my god, this is why we do what we do, and you guys helped me to do what we're doing, and I appreciate it so much, I'm just dropping it. So, a YouTube channel called Fisk Productions. Fisk as in F-I-S-K, like Wilson Fisk. I don't think Wilson Fisk is involved. But Fisk Productions reached out to me to tell me they are dropping a new live-action short this week on the 20th. The short is called SCP Blind Vector. I now have a 40-second teaser trailer for you. Here we go. Now, if I remember correctly, this is actually in a foreign language, so I hope my subtitles are on. Captions? I hope there are captions. Those are comments. Hold on, I need to get rid of the comments. Wait. Please have captions. Now, when you run to the SCP Blind Vector trailer, now available on the Fisk Productions YouTube channel. As always, Mobile Task Force Psi-42, codename Signal Boosters, policy, make sure you comment. If you have nothing to comment of your own, comment something like Dr. Sherman sent me or Site-42 sent me. That way we keep the Site-42 hype going throughout the community and let people know where to reach out to get their signal boosted. But obviously, your original comments take priority. The only thing that I said to these guys in return is, besides I'm excited to see what you guys make, let's be fair, they are clearly a young filmmaking team, as in literally of a young age. And so when we get some baby-faced SCP agents who looks like they haven't been drafted, let alone veterans in a war zone situation, let's suspend our disbelief. Obviously, we let the kids make some films, and then as they get attention from the SCP community, as they get funding from the SCP community, as they grow both in age and skill, they will keep making better, better, better things. And so, let them go. Let them cook. Leave your comments. Fisk Productions, SCP Blind Vector teaser trailer. Now they have one other video, a student film from 2 weeks ago called Insanity. And Insanity, again, it's a little supernatural. It's only 5 minutes. I can show you a little bit. I want you to watch this and comment on this as well. But they're doing some pretty good horror for what we're doing in the online horror space. Oh no, we're doing a PT, everyone. We're doing a PT. And that is all I'm going to give you. You can go watch that and comment it on your own. So, Fisk Productions, they've already gotten 7 subscribers since we started this discussion. That's why you are the top of the team, Mobile Task Force Psi-42, codenamed the Signal Boosters. Before I finally get back to Farm Shop Chronicles' very generous donation question, one more thing. I love your videos, and do you actually work for the Foundation? Intern Briggs. It is important. First of all, I'm glad you enjoy our videos. Secondly, it's important to remember that if someone asks if the SCP Foundation is real, then I immediately drop character, drop kayfabe, and say the SCP Foundation is not real. It is a creative writing community and fandom with thousands of authors. It's very cool, but it's not real. I am an actor in an audio booth. Here we are. Furthermore, we do this because back in 2015, someone got so into the fact that Slender Man is real that 2 friends stabbed their friend because Slender Man told them to. It was yeah, so we don't pretend to be real, so we don't cause real-world harm. But that being said, if you want to know if I work for the SCP Foundation Wiki, I am an SCP author, and I am a junior staff member on the Internet Outreach team, which is just a position so I can talk to staff once in a while, content creator to staff. That way I can liaise with them for different corporations that want to work with SCP to make sure they do it the right way. Green-coded. Can you inform me what the offending language was there? Just because I see the message that was sent and I don't recognize it, and I would like to be informed of what also to keep an eye out for in the future. But while I wait for Green-coded to respond to that with the text, the 30-second delay of YouTube chat, let me answer Farm Shop Chronicles. Going out of character for this one, I know the thing about SCP is there is no canon, but at what point does it become iffy to act like a higher rank? In acting like I want to be some sort of chief investigator or something, but I feel like it's too far. So, Farm Shop Chronicles, I adore this question. Because Desk and I especially were used to kids who act like an overseer and say, oh, you're not doing your job, and we're your boss, and you need to do what we say. And it's a situation where what you're really looking at is not so much playing a authority figure is not the problem in itself. It's when you get into Mary Sue performance, like playground rules, like power scaling rules. No, I'm in charge and I beat you. No, I'm in charge and I beat you. And so being an investigator as a character can actually give you a lot of interesting storylines. Now, I don't know if you're, first of all, if you want to play with the canon of SCP while playing a person of this rank, I would recommend you look into the SCP department called the Fire Suppression Department. The Fire Suppression Department is really, they put out fires. Not real fires, metaphorical fires. They are the ones who run around the Foundation and make sure that no one's doing anything they shouldn't. So, for canon-wise, instead of being internal investigations, look into the Ethics Committee, look into the Fire Suppression Department, and consider consider where you want to take your angle as a character for that. Because, especially, you start to avoid the Mary Sue problem when your character has flaws and weaknesses. If your character is too good at everything, if they're the boss of everybody, that's when people start thinking, oh, you're just role-playing God as a regular person. But if you were dealing with someone from those departments and you acted within the limitations of those departments, you're less likely to be called on that sort of behavior. I'll have you know, so far in stream with me, you have not crossed that line in a way where I would shrug you off because you weren't playing a fun game. It's the same rules as improv comedy of yes and, of working with your teammates to create a better story, of hyping up your scene mates rather than trying to take control of the scene and do what you want selfishly to the detriment of the other players. I have, in my past, been a bad DM and have done things that my players didn't appreciate, and I had to learn from those mistakes. Because as a teammate at a table, you are collaboratively writing. It's not just about what you want to do, it's what you and your group wants to do together. I hope this rambling answer has brought you some help and some comfort, because at least thus far, you haven't bothered me, so you're doing good so far. All right, I'm bouncing around the leftover donos because I'm seeing questions I want to answer really quickly. But I will get them all, I promise. So, Intern Dragon Man, thank you for what I think is your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself some Piscetti on your way past the commissary. Dr. Sherman, would SCP-1471 be good for a horror short film? Well, I don't know. What if we checked out SCP Redacted by Lot 1 Productions on YouTube, where the very first episode of their live-action SCP web series is SCP-1471, codename Mallow. Because Lot 1 Productions done did that. What if we had some Stranger Things music, an interview with some people until they got a certain cell phone app,
I know someone's out there.
And then they got a little paranoid.
Over here?
There's nothing here.
Where is it?
It's fine. They aren't real.
Are they not real? Are you sure? Because what's in your rearview mirror, buddy? So, I believe if you were looking for some Mallow inspiration for a short film, Law 1 Productions has at least a starting pack for you. Okay, returning to chat. You saw nothing. Was that Mallow? Yes, Intern Mata, that was SCP-1471 in a live-action short film. Lot 1 Productions is the name of the YouTube channel. Go check it out. The costume design for Mallow is very good in that. It looks very sharp. Aflac, thank you for donating again to say, Dr. Sherman, the world supply of Guinness has just been infected by SCP-729. SJ. May we all quake and quiver in fear. How? How does that thing, in fact, the world supply of Guinness? What do you mean? How? How long does stream have left? As a time check, 100 stars. We are currently 2 minutes after the end of stream. But the energy's been pretty good. So I gotta finish the donos either way, and we'll go as long as the energy stays hype. Zestiness is currently on track. If I don't think about it, it can't get me. If I don't think about it, it can't get me. If I don't think about it, it can't get me. Devil, thank you for sending 2 lucky clovers to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am sure they will continue their luck streak thanks to your generosity. Shadow Fox, thank you for sending a GG to the chat. I'm sure they will have good games thanks to your urging. Doom for Zombies, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself a med kit on your way past the commissary. The enemies from Destiny 2 are coming through my screen with the Wondertainment logo on their arm. Enemies from Destiny 2 coming through my screen with a Wondertainment logo. Okay, so you obviously are playing it on one of Dr. Wondertainment's anomalous video gaming consoles. I highly recommend you power down the game, dispatch of the entities, and then turn it in for containment and study. Likes are greater than views, Dr. Frogman and many others. Yes, you are correct. The likes are at 130 and the viewers are at 86, which means you have hit that like button enough that we are getting algorithmic play to bring more people into the Site42 stream. And that will help us to support SCP projects like Fisk Productions and their upcoming SCP Blind Vector short film, like Lot 1 Productions and their SCP Redacted miniseries. I thank you for hitting that like button so hard that we keep dragging people into the SCP fandom one way or another. I greatly thank you for your service. $100 stars. Thank you for sending a 100 to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am certain they will continue to keep it 100 at your urging. Intern Oliver, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself a beefed jerky on your way past the commissary. As an anomaly, you are a handsome man, Dr. Sherman. Well, remember to keep your behavior in line, Anomaly. I do not want to be accused of anywhere near fraternizing with an anomaly. But it is true, even as an asexual man, I can be certain of my general physical attractiveness and how it aids in my evil and sexy plans. You can be sexy and asexual. Farm Shop Chronicles, thank you for donating again to say, Dear Director Sherman, thank you for your insight on the Fire Suppression Department. We will assign our best agents to departmental improvement. Signed, II. Good luck and Godspeed, and Uber driver Jesus for the God. That way you get there particularly fast. SCP-029-J. Because yes, I do believe that the Fire Suppression Department will be your key to canonically doing internal investigations. I think that'll be a good route for you to go with your characterization. I look forward to seeing how that plays with things. Asking again, let's say I hypothetically ate SCP-018 whole, will I be alright? Intern Cool Cat. If you swallowed SCP-018, which is the bouncing ball that bounces faster each time it bounces, i.e., getting faster and faster against how the laws of physics typically function, then, because the ball would be within your digestive tract, it would not bounce. Therefore, nothing typically or atypically would happen. Now, if you jumped and it somehow bounced off of your intestines, then I would then assume it would start its 200% bounce efficiency, which may cause you personal discomfort, pain, and or death. Christadar Wolfboy, thank you for donating again to say, almost forgot, Delirium said the turkey is for the Foundation Thanksgiving. It is so many months until Thanksgiving. That's just poor timing. Poor anomaly. No timing in head. No thoughts. Only turkey. And shape-shifting. That's rough, buddy. SCP-096 die? Question mark, question mark? Well, intern Cansancio. In some universes, SCP-096 is dead, and in some universe, SCP-096 is not dead. It depends on which universe you are currently residing in. 096 is alive in the universe I am broadcasting from. Intern, what's my color? Thank you for sending a lucky clover to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am sure that they will be much more lucky thanks to your generosity. If you want SCP in Dead by Daylight, why not SCP-Y? Do you mean Skippy? Are you trying to put Skippy in Dead by Daylight? Oh no. When Skippy breaks, it's too powerful. Although, the mascot edition of Skippy from the Foundation theme park that just pummels people to death, that could be a feasible killer. That could be a physical killer. Although, also, indie game devs, I'm still waiting on my SCP SCP theme park SCP game. Haunted theme park game with anomalies and Skippy hunting you down? Perfect game concept. No, please, anything but Skippy. Who's Skippy? I'm afraid I'm unformed of Skippy. All right, we're taking a Skippy tangent. First created by one of the GOATs of the SCP authorship, the Great Hippo. They wrote, the Great Hippo wrote an SCP document / SCP guide essay to teach people how to write SCPs. It's called Your Very First SCP. And Skippy is the SCP database's version of Clippy. And it corrects you if you are typing your SCP document wrong. And sometimes it gets angry because you are not following the format properly. And if you do not follow the format, Skippy proceeds to a place of violence. But furthermore, Skippy was unfortunately put into a versus match against the most detrimental typist in all of SCP Foundation lore. Hello, yes, Dado. Dado would like to be writing SCP documents. Skippy, you help Dado. And well, at the end of their interaction, Skippy was not doing well. And that is when Skippy broke. SCP-001, when Skippy breaks. And so Skippy shows up in multiple documents, and we all are terrified of Skippy. And then let me find SCP Foundation land. SCP Foundation theme park. $90.35. Someone shared it in the chat. You were right, whoever you were. SCP-9035 refers to an SCP Foundation theme park featuring Containment Breach the Ride, an SCP Foundation theme park that we brought into existence during the Broken Masquerade canon. Unfortunately, we made a living mascot iteration of Skippy. Arms and legs and everything. And as part of the mascot program, Skippy started beating patrons to death. Which, honestly, a very solid concept for an indie game. Indie games, get on it. Yes, Dr. Frogman. I am familiar that a second update has been made to that thing's documentation that includes myself. Desk and I are actually mildly frustrated because that document addition is pretty sparse. It's one of those situations where we're warning Site42 chat members, please do not vandalize SCP Wiki documents with Site42 references. Our SCP inside jokes here at Site42 are for us, and we do not want to be an annoying YouTube channel changing SCP documents for the lulz. Be careful, and if you are going to write changes to the wiki, make sure they are high quality, that they are funny, that they are spell checked, that you are getting critique from people just like you would any SCP document, so that you don't make low quality additions to the SCP wiki, especially with our name on them. Please. Green coded, you are correct. We are not above the rules of the wiki. In fact, we very much appreciate and follow the rules of the wiki. Dr. Frogman, I do know you didn't do that. No, we talked about that a while ago that came up. I just know that you haven't seen it yet. But this is a general chat reminder. Please do not add me to documents in ways that... If you're writing your own document, your own SCP, and you want to add Site42 references and you want to go for that, I have no problems with it at all. Write your SCP, write your tale, throw Dr. Sherman in there, throw in some memes, not a problem. Just make it good enough that it stays on the wiki, of course. Of course. What I am cautioning against is editing other people's documents, even collaborative documents where it's allowed for other people to edit them. Because when it's collaborative documents, the wiki staff will allow it, but I would prefer if references to Site42 and myself were high effort and funny and things like that. Just be careful, write quality works. That's all I ask. Do your best. Make art. We're not here to shitpost on the SCP Wiki. Amber, thank you for your first donation of today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself a parfait on your way past the commissary. Coworker sent me the link to Dust's TNAD. So someone found it and knew you were an SCP fan to hit you with it. Very good. You're propagating the knowledge of the SCP Foundation enough that it's infecting their algorithms. That's how it's done. Good work. Chris the Dire Wolf Boy, thank you for donating again to say, I didn't feel like risking offending an endless by correcting an entity that could make me taste thoughts, hear pictures, feel smells, smell touch, and see balance. That does sound quite confusing. I would recommend talking to the Surrealistics department. You might need their help in containing this anomaly. Goose Goose, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself some suffering succotash on your way past the commissary. Do you think Dr. Hessen is anomalous for being immune to SCP? Oh, I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it. No one talks about Dr. Hessen unless it's related to that thing. 729 SJ. Yes, I think Dr. Hessen is anomalous for being immune to that thing. However, I haven't been able to convince staff to run any tests. Ugh. Disgusting. I'm newish to your live stream chat, so I'm not sure if I can ask you this. Well, before I even look, welcome to stream. A reminder that we stream every ding-dang day. We have streamed daily for the last 11 months, going on 12. And so, set your subscription bells on YouTube, and if you are old enough and clever enough to join the SCP Site-42 Discord server, old enough being 18 or older, just like the SCP Wiki's membership rules, and then clever enough, we've hid the Discord link and you have to find it. Some hints are always given at the end of stream. But yes, if you can join the Discord server, then you can get a live alert roll where we ping you. Because times are inconsistent, so you want to make sure you're pinged when we go live. And your question was, do you think the SCP Foundation can contain Luffy, especially Gear 5, and if so, how? Well, Luffy is quite the shonen anime protagonist, and all of them, your Narutos, your Gokus, etc., your Ichigos, they all have their overpowered BS that we have to deal with. Suffice it to say, I do believe that Luffy would probably be out of our scale, considering that the worldwide police force, the Marines of that universe, don't have a handle on that entity. However, seemingly, in One Piece's lore, the anomalous fruits, well, I would say anomalous fruits, but they seem pretty normal to the populace there. So is Luffy anomalous in the first place, having anomalous abilities, but they're given by a non-anomalous source in that universe? And of course, as Dr. Frogman said, just surrounding the entity by a room full of water would probably be enough. I love when they have an easily exploitable weakness. Chris the Direwolf Boy, thank you for donating to also say, salt water for Luffy. Yes, put it in the center of a pool, and do not let it leave the pool. Uh-huh. You saw nothing. Intern Mason. I assume most of the chat is familiar with Superstitious Foundation by CG5. You can't hang out in the SCP fandom too long without hearing about it, although it is a banger track. Wait a second, Dr. Sherman, what do you mean we created leprechauns? Intern Dragmeyer, you want to look into SCP, I believe it's 4717. We talked about it earlier. Nope, that is not the right one. What was the right one? I have it in the background. 4147. 4147. Codenamed the Encyclopedia Obscura. As a quick review, it's an anomalous encyclopedia of myths and folklore that retroactively cause a culture to believe in a myth. Leprechauns didn't exist in Irish folklore until we wrote them into this encyclopedia. So, our bad. Are there any non-J articles you feel use redactions well? 369 Destroyer asking about redactions. Well, first and foremost, let me give you... for those of you who are interested in utilizing redactions in your works, don't forget to check out in the guides and essays section what hides beneath the black and white of blackboxing, which is a guide written by SCP author Malice Graves, in which it describes how to use redaction effectively and how to not use them effectively. So, from Malice Graves, let's talk. A review of Black Box and suggested reading. 1459-J uses it to mock the overuse of Black Box on the site. Ha ha ha. We get too zesty with the black marker. 3579 uses the Black Box to suggest a linkage to other SCP article that we all know doesn't exist, but it might. This is one of the few uses of the box to build plausibility and suspense that still works primarily for expediency. 2231 used the Black Box to remove personally identifying data, social security numbers and addresses, of someone that exists in real life. The data is not germane to the story being told, and the Black Box is not excessive. And then 4583 uses faux Black Boxes to excellent effect, showcasing the concept that the data hidden may or may not be changing based upon perceived temporal reality. So there's also a version of that paragraph for data expunged. You can run down the listing here to get a better view of when and when it shouldn't be utilized. Now, when I think about redactions, the problem is, like many, I only come across black boxes and redactions in a manner that frustrate me more often than excite me because of their overuse. And so, trying to think of a version of redactions or black boxes that makes me like how they're used is hard. I will have to consider that for a little bit. So, I'll have to get back to you on that one. Because I can't think of any off the top of my head. And I will tell you, I do like 231 for what it is, even if we ignore the implications that went a little too far for 231. But even then, they were still... 231 was mostly redacting, let's see, redacting what we need to not know so that the General Foundation staff doesn't know what's going on. That's pretty worthwhile. And that's basically the point of the article, is... author Clef was trying to posit, okay, but what if there's something in the secret organization that's so secret that they have to hide it from themselves? As a concept, interesting. When a bunch of dates are redacted, that's when I'm just like, okay, why are the dates redacted? Why did you need to do that? No. No. Relax. Wait. Patience. Puppy of Interest 42, codename Charlie, is of course here, as you heard. The question just became, is Puppy of Interest 42 going to be polite, or is she going to yell for attention? We're trying to teach her not to yell for attention. But behavioral training takes time. Let me pick up this sandwich-sized puppy to say hello to you. She is very excited to say hello to the chat. She just got back from a nice walk. She is very warm, I can tell, to the touch. The chat wants you to have treats, so you can have treats. That's a very good sweetie pumpkin. Lanny the Demon Angel, you are not allowed to take Charlie to Candy Mountain. No. Request denied. For my allergies. And returning to chat. Catherine Snell, thank you for sending another lucky clover to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am sure their luck will continue. What a coincidence. 2 days in a row, right at the end of stream. Hey, intern randomness. You want to know why we don't talk about Dr. Bright here at Site 42? Well, chat, content warning for Dr. Bright mention. Daily stream event, you knew it was coming at some point. And first of all, intern randomness, thank you for checking the rules. That way you knew that we don't talk about Dr. Bright. Most people don't go that far. Thank you for checking the chat rules. I appreciate you doing that. Long story short, Desk is going to drop a prompt for you. It is a link to a video on this channel called The Last Death of Dr. Jack Bright. That video explains a short summary of why we don't talk about Dr. Bright, but the longest story, shortened, is that Dr. Bright was the author avatar of a person who was banned from the wiki for egregious allegations of grooming. It's a lot. And the character was involved in that grooming at multiple levels, both in being used by the author to gain access to more victims due to having the clout of having written the character, and due to actually having those inclinations itself. The Dr. Bright character was known to thirst over underage people in stories. So, yeah, at that point, the character just needed to be thrown out with the author. I regret asking, it's okay, Mrs. Randomness. This happens a lot. It's a factor of the fact that while the core SCP writers community knows about it, it did not get broadcast out to the offsite fandom, which is millions of more people. And so it's my cross to bear. I might as well be one of the other GZI here at Site 42 of the SCP Foundation, that I will continue to inform people about why we don't talk about Dr. Bright. That way people who need to know get to know. So don't feel bad. Now, if you bring up Dr. Bright in the future, if you're obstinate and you refuse to follow the rules, then yes, that would be bad. But we are happy to answer that question for you in the future. Or answer it now for you. Farm Shop Chronicles, thank you for donating again to say, Dear Director Sherman, look at the doggy. It is a very sweet doggy. Also, research on the ethics committee goes well, if not deeper than expected. Your best, I. So, definitely when you're looking into the ethics committee, you can talk to, you can look at the documentation of Dr. Jeremiah Cimmerian, who is the most famous liaison for the ethics committee. I highly recommend their pasta physics orientation, or how treating anomalies just a little more ethically could lead to less containment breaches. But yes, as I said, Fire Suppression Department and Ethics Committee are deep dives for your research. Okay, Site 42 staff, we are at the 125-minute mark of this 90-minute stream. I can say I am a bit tired. And so while my brain is active enough to do the outro, I'm going to do the outro, which means happy St. Patrick's Day and thank you for coming to another Site 42's Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, now an Office Hours with Dr. Sherman, a subsidiary of the anomalous broadcast from Site 42. And as I always do in the outro, I tell you guys my favorite SCPs. Although I'm not going to tell you that my favorite SCPs are the ones I personally wrote. That would be cheating. But if you want to read the SCPs I personally wrote, you can go to the Sherm's author page in Site 42 Hub on the SCP database. There you can see the SCPs that I personally wrote, as well as contributed voice lines or sound effects to. And while you're on my author page, you'll find one tab over from the SCPs themselves, a list of links. Links that a lot of people ask about, that they need hints to find, but then they just don't look for them, which is very sad at their lack of determination. But not you guys. You guys come to these Site 42 streams and they fill you with determination. So I know you'll find those links. And while you're looking at those links, you can become a Patreon patron or a YouTube channel member of Site 42. You can do a Ko-Fi or a YouTube Super Chat if you want to donate to us one at a time. Either way, direct donations are the quickest way to help out Site 42 and its staff, so we appreciate your generosity in keeping our lights on. Furthermore, if you are part of the Broke Gang and you cannot donate, do not fret. We have a whole bunch of SCP projects that we support, SCP live-action films, animations, games, merch, podcasts, and when you like, share, subscribe, comment, chat, not just with us, but also with them, you are being an intrepid member of Mobile Task Force Psi-42, codename the Signal Boosters. And your support for their algorithm brings them to more people, which brings them more support, which means that we get bigger SCPs, SCP art, SCP animations, games, films, merch, podcasts, etc. So we thank you, Mobile Task Force Psi-42, codename Signal Boosters, for your service. Now, I've gotten a couple donations during that first half of the outro. Let me get them so I don't forget them. Chris the Dire Wolfboy, thank you for donating again, and this time making the effort to go to the Ko-Fi. Dr. Sherman to the Doctor. I'm the only man who can contain you. The Doctor. One problem. I'm already gone. Dr. Sherman. Where did it go? I was looking right at it. The amount of times that timey-wimey son of a bitch has done that to me is embarrassing. It's an embarrassing number. I'm not going to tell you the number, because I'm staring at that thing, and then it just poofs. How? And Catherine Snell, thank you for sending another Lucky Clover to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am sure that they will finish the St. Patrick's Day very lucky thanks to your urging. Now, without further ado, my favorite SCPs in no particular order are SCP-3999, SCP-3043, SCP-008-J, SCP-Spooky-J, SCP-5031, SCP-5175, SCP-5320, and SCP-8980. Content warning on that last one, it's a bit of a rough read. Speed round. 3999-3043, Spooky-J, 5031, content warning last one, rough read. And so, Site 42 staff, this has been another Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, a subsidiary of the anomalous broadcast from Site 42. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Have yourself a happy St. Patrick's Day. And as always, secure, contain, protect. I'll see you in the next video or stream. I was born on a Dublin street where the royal drums do beat and the loving English feet walked all over us, where each and every night when me dad would come home tight, he'd call the neighbors out with this chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Show her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of careless Chandra. Come tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 and 2. Like the Zulus, they had knives and bows and arrows. How you bravely faced you one with your 16-pounder gun, and you frightened all the natives to the marrow. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Show her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of careless Chandra. The credit song in this case is Come Out Ye Black and Tans, sometimes by the McGuire Brothers. Usually my version is by a group called the Wolf Something. Where's their name? I typically listen to the version by the Wolf Tones. But suffice to say, either way, have a healthy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe, be well, and as always, secure, contain, protect.